Alright, welcome everyone, this is On Just Restart. We should be going live now, hopefully everything is working. This is a Nintendo podcast that we usually do Monday nights at... No, it's not Monday anymore. Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We used to do it Mondays, now we're doing it on Sundays. Although next week we might be doing it on Saturday, so stay posted. But anyway, this is a regular weekly Nintendo podcast, and this time we'll be talking about rumors for a January Nintendo Direct for this month. This is the first podcast of the year, 2020. Both Brandon and I do think a Nintendo Direct is coming really soon. The question is how soon and what will actually be there. So we're going to be sifting through some rumors and reports that have been coming out lately, talking about it, what it can mean. So it's going to be a good time. And of course, you guys in the chat will be involved as well. But as I mentioned, Brandon is also here. What About Nintendo? The link to his channel is in the description below. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm wearing this new shirt I just got today. It's super comfortable. Just for context, I didn't do Christmas on Christmas because we were all freaking broke. So we're doing Christmas. We did Christmas today, part of it, and we're doing part of it later. So I got this sweet shirt. I got socks, which I know it's kind of like a thing. You don't want socks for Christmas, but I wanted socks for Christmas. I specifically asked for socks for Christmas, and I was like, I need some freaking socks. And they're the best socks ever, by the way. They're super thick. And I got a bunch of snacks and some other stuff. So yeah, I'm doing good. Just got a bunch of presents. I've got candy and snacks for days. Chocolate pretzels, double stuffed Oreos, all kinds of stuff. Kit Kats.
I don't want candy.
Dove chocolates.
I want candy now. That's cool though. I'm glad you got to celebrate that. I played Resident Evil 2 last night a lot and died a lot, and then the game asked me if I wanted to go into assist mode. And I was offended.
The ultimate disrespect.
Yeah, it's that moment, man. Yeah, no, I was not happy with that.
You want to go into you suck at games mode?
Yeah, that's what happened. And I was not happy with that. No, I was not. But let's go ahead and check with the chat here. See what's going on. Super Chris, what's up? Brandon Stallion, hello there. Cray Pancake, what's up, man? Wolfgang 630. Here Wolfgang is saying, I think Emily's Wii U ports are Super Mario 3D World and Pikmin 3. Pikmin 3, she's been saying, is coming since last year. Well,
those are both actually really good picks.
Perhaps. I at least think Pikmin 3 could be a reality. We're definitely going to be talking about that. 3D World might be a little bit of an odd pick for me personally, but it would be a fun game to have on the Switch, so we'll see. We're gonna get into more details soon. I just kind of want to run through greeting people here. Time to Smash. Hello there. How you doing? Time to Smash is saying, okay, I'm thinking, what if Nintendo just announced on the 8th there's a Direct coming on the 9th? It's quite a wild prediction that may not happen, but it's fun to think about. Well, today is the 5th, on a Wednesday, so it could be on a Thursday. Yeah, it's conceivable.
Or Wednesday and Thursday, yeah.
It's certainly conceivable.
I mean, yeah. 7th or 8th, 8th or 9th, I could see.
Yeah,
those, I guess.
Definitely. Let's see here. Sav64, what's up? Terry Siverson, hello there. So Terry's saying, I think the Direct will happen this week, and not only will we get Challenger Pack 5 revealed, but also info on the additional DLC fighters, and I also think we'll get a trailer for Bayonetta 3. Well, that would be a pretty good Direct. Terry's also saying, I think we'll get a Direct this week and Challenger Pack... Okay, that was a double copy. Gotcha. Time to Smash said, my prediction is that there will be a Direct on the 9th. There will be release dates for the 2020 games announced in 2019. The Wii U ports will be announced as well, too, and the 5th fighter for Smash. Alright.
9th would be a good time. I believe I'm off work on the 9th.
Oh, well.
So,
yeah, perhaps. Brandon Stallion added me, yo, Andres, so I'll be pre-ordering Animal Crossing New Horizons next Friday, and for my birthday on the 20th, I'll be asking for a GameStop gift card, which I'll be using to pre-order. Yeah, I mean, I actually kind of expect we might get some New Horizons information at this Direct as well. I expect there to be a Animal Crossing focused Direct in March or late February, but I also expect there to be some new Animal Crossing news whenever we get this January Nintendo Direct. So then, there's a few different things that we're probably going to talk about at some point. Like, for example, Hideki Kamiya saying that the operating system on the Switch, or the UI, is quote-unquote shit, right? He said that. So we may talk a little bit about that. Perhaps we may get an update on the Switch, which could change the UI. That might sort of coincide with a Nintendo Direct. That's possible. Also, Emily Rogers did come out and say that there would be 2 Wii U ports coming as well, so that's something to talk about. Apparently, there was this analyst who pretty much wants to put it down as fact that the Switch Pro will be coming out this year. So there's a few different things we could be talking about today for sure. All interesting things. A lot of it could potentially come up in a Nintendo Direct. So Brandon, where do you want to sort of start off with this? Because there's different angles here, and I still haven't set up the overlay to have the topics listed yet. So that'll happen eventually. I don't want to put a time. Maybe I'll do it this week. Tomorrow I'm actually off, so maybe I'll set it up tomorrow. But
maybe we should start with the UI thing, since that seems to be the most dissimilar topic out of all of them. You know, the one that doesn't have to do with any direct or anything like that. So maybe we should start with that one. Get that one out of the way. I think that's a good first topic.
All right, so yeah. So apparently he's quoted as saying, "The Nintendo Switch's home menu is a piece of crap. All of the shitty, gigantic game icons are lined up in a row, but the rest of the games are tossed into a trash can called All Games. I wonder, have they, the people that made the menu, ever played the Nintendo fanboy Switch?" Yeah, that's
harsh.
It's a little rough. So, yeah, that's a very rough way to say things. But I do agree that the UI for the Switch is very bare bones. There's aspects of it that I like, but there's definitely more that could be done. Well, like if the 3DS could have themes, you gotta imagine that it's possible to get themes running on the Switch, right?
Themes, music. I like how they have a whole theme section. I remember when the Switch came out, we were like, there's a theme section. Surely they're going to add more themes.
Just black and white.
Black and white.
Maybe someday we'll get red and blue.
Theme in UI here.
Yeah.
You think?
And
then
yeah.
That just didn't happen.
No.
That's pretty crazy. Honestly, I don't think the Switch UI is bad. I just don't think it's great. I think it's fast and simple and easy to find out where everything is, which is way more than you can say for either PlayStation or Xbox. But it does lack a lot of features. Now, some of those I like I hate going through the Xbox menu and there's like a trillion different features I don't care about. There's like news and all kinds of different stuff that just clutters up the UI that I wish I could just like get rid of. So in that way, I like that it's simple. It doesn't try to do a lot of too much on the main menu, like the Xbox One's UI does. But at the same time, like there's a lot of things that it doesn't have, like themes and music, folders would be nice. But generally, I don't have too much of an issue for it. It's not too hard to find out where your games are. Usually, your most recent games that you've played are right there in the front because it kind of sorts them by order of which one you've played last. So in that way, I like that. It's not terrible. I wouldn't say it's a piece of crap or that it's shitty, but it's definitely not as good as it could be. I think it was Arrow on Twitter who made a mock-up of like themes and folders and stuff. I thought that looked really awesome. So it was kind of like, oh man, yeah, the Switch UI could be a lot better than it is. And they had like messages would be cool. But I don't think it's terrible. I think it is kind of a shame that it's been almost 3 years into the Switch's life and we haven't gotten a single UI update have we gotten even one UI update? I think so.
I mean, I'm sure there's been a couple little things that have been adjusted, but nothing significant. The UI as it is now is pretty much the way it looked when the Switch launched. Like I said, there might be an icon or two that's there, but besides that, overall, it's pretty much the same thing. And I'll say that I appreciate the UI as it is because it's very simple, it's snappy, it's quick. You can get from one game to another very quickly, and that I really appreciate. It's a lot quicker than the way that Wii U operated. However, besides some of the nice little clicks and boops, there is no noise. There is no background music at all. I could fire up my dusty Wii U right now, go onto the eShop, and I'm sure I will hear a different song than all the other times I've heard when I go onto the eShop. They're always changing the music there, and then of course the Wii U's menu has its own background music. It'd be nice to have some more audio something with the operating system.
Yeah.
I'd like that. That would be nice. On top of that, you know, like it is very basic. Like I would like to have themes. Like I wouldn't mind if they kept it pretty much the same, but they added themes, and maybe they added a few more auditory cues or some background music, or at least optional background music, and maybe the Switch eShop could
even if
actually
it was
do
just
something.
like the themes come with music, so like they come with the main track from whatever game it is. So like Xenoblade comes with its
That'd
main
be
track
awesome.
from that game, or anything like.
If
even
it was
something as
theme
simple as
based,
that
would be really cool. I'd love that. I mean,
yeah, and that's not even hard to do. Like, you know,
that would
you
be
don't even
neat.
have to make any new music. Or
I mean,
anything.
ideally, I'd like it so you could switch it up. Like, you know, maybe there'd be like a theme music option where, like, if you don't want there to be music, you'd at least turn it off.
Yeah.
But I would really like that. But I do think there's a potential counter argument to having all these updates to the operating system, and that's the fact that maybe they really intentionally kept it minimalist because they wanted things to be snappy and quick, get things done quickly, and maybe they didn't want to devote too much resources to the operating system. That way they could focus more on the games, right? Because the Switch, while I don't want to say it's a weak system for a handheld, because of all the things it's trying to run, it's not like it has a lot of extra power to just sort of throw around, you know? So I wonder if the reason they've stuck with such a minimalist design for the operating system is because they are trying to be conservative with how much resources they devote to just the operating system, so they can focus more on what they have for everything else.
That might be it. They do already have dedicated, I think, 1 gigabyte of RAM dedicated, or is it half? They do have dedicated like system memory and a dedicated CPU core to it, so I don't see why it wouldn't be able to run these things. Maybe it might be a little bit slower getting in and out of games or something if you have a theme on, like maybe a little bit. But I honestly, with the dedicated stuff it already has, which it's been so long since I've looked into exactly what it is, I don't remember. So
right.
Don't quote me for any kind of numbers on that. I just know it's significant enough to where I think it'd be able to easily run like themes and stuff. At least like basic themes. I don't think that's the issue. I really don't know. Like maybe that's the thing. I don't see it being that big of an issue though. Honestly.
They haven't done it yet. We're approaching the 30-year anniversary, and they haven't done it yet. So maybe it's just Nintendo taking forever to do what seems like, I don't want to say it's like simple. I'm sure there's a lot of extenuating circumstances. There could be a lot of reasons that I don't understand that could explain as to why they've taken so long. But it does seem like something that wouldn't take that much work. And Nintendo has, you know, inexplicably done things that we don't think really make sense. Right? Like, they took forever to set up their whole online program, for example. That is, you know, and even before...
Take forever, and it was, like, basically the same anyways.
Yeah, it wasn't really that much of a game changer. It was actually pretty subpar compared to what people sort of expected. So, I don't really know what's going to happen with this. I will say that if it is going to change, might as well be around this time. Right, maybe we could get a major update to the Switch where the operating system finally gets an overhaul, and it could be in time with the January Nintendo Direct to kick off 2020. Maybe that happens. I'm not necessarily predicting that, but I guess it's possible. I don't know if Kamiya's Twitter post is at all related to him thinking it's about time it changes. Maybe that's his way of hinting to the world it's going to change, or that more likely just him complaining.
I doubt he would even know. Yeah,
it's more likely just him complaining. So, hard to say for sure. Is it gonna really improve my life significantly if they add themes? No. but it'd be nice. So we'll see what happens there. Is there anything else you want to say on that before we kind of move on to perhaps the more exciting things?
I just think it's not a priority for Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's really that important, and I don't think
Right.
they think it's that important. I mean, it's not like having themes or anything is going to really help sell the Switch in any capacity, but I do think it's from what I understand, it's a simple enough thing that they could just have a few people do it, and just just have them work on it for a couple weeks, and then it'd be finished, and then you could just upload it. Even if there's only like a couple themes, like we're not asking for like a million.
How long do we have to wait for
stuff.
themes for the 3DS?
3DS? I don't know.
I want
The 3DS had tons of themes.
When
They
did
were
the
always
first
adding more
theme release? I don't know if it'll even come up.
And the 3DS had like custom like sounds and folder icons and all kinds of stuff with their themes. It was really cool.
Introducing the theme shop. The theme shop. Apparently that trailer was from 2014. So
When did the 3DS release?
So they had a trailer introducing the theme shop. I don't know if that was the first time we got themes on the 3DS. But the 3DS came out in 2011. So
Quite a bit afterwards.
if I honestly don't remember if themes were there beforehand. But actually let me see if it says it here. No, because Google doesn't know what I'm actually asking. So
yeah.
wait, Nintendo rolls out 3DS themes. IGN. This is posted on October 2014. So it does seem that they waited a few years before they started adding themes to 3DS. And assuming that is the case, it took them about a little more than 3 years. So
I think they're just being slow.
We're headed into the 3rd anniversary for the Nintendo Switch. Right? Perhaps this is the time, guys. Perhaps sometime this year we will finally hear about themes for the Nintendo Switch. If the timing from these articles from what it seems to be suggesting is true, I guess with the 3DS it took about 3 years. Maybe they'll take about 3 years with the Switch. Maybe. But let's check in with the chat here. Let's see what else is going on, and let's continue on with the discussion because there's a whole bunch of other things to talk about here. So, let's see. Kami Mingo, hello there. I'm doing pretty well. Thank you for asking. Brandon Stallion. Oh, you were saying you wanted to get a gift card to pre-order Pearl and Diamond Remake, which you know is 100% coming this year. How do you know that? Is this your belief, your confidence in Pearl and Diamond remakes, or do you know something that we don't? Curious. Let me know in the comments or the chat.
Distinction between those two things.
Time to smash. Also, DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe will be announced. I'm hoping in 2 different packs. Pikmin 4 will also be shown in a small trailer. Mario Golf, and there will be an Animal Crossing Direct in February. Okay, those are some decent predictions. If we've got DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe now,
my mind would be blown.
My mind would also be surprised. I would be very happy to see that because that's what I want. I don't feel like Mario Kart 9 is necessary, but if they were to announce Mario Kart 9 and it's a vast improvement over Mario Kart 8, or at least different, very different, and it feels like a fresh take, I'll be very excited about that. Either way, I'll be happy. I've been talking about it for the last few weeks. I mean, I've talked about it for the last couple of years, actually. I want more Nintendo racing games. I don't just want Mario Kart, even though I freaking love Mario Kart. I also love F-Zero and Wave Race and Excite Truck, and those have been missing. We need some of that as well. So I'm hoping for some actual new racing game to come out this year. Maybe there could be one announced in a Nintendo Direct. That will excite me. Even if it is Mario Kart 9, that will be great as well. But I'm not... Personally, I'm not really predicting a Mario Kart 9 or Mario Kart 8 DLC for the January Nintendo Direct. But
no, I don't think that.
I hope I'm wrong. Terry Sivertson. I think Challenger Pack 5 is Cosmos. And DLC Fighter 6, I think, will be Geno. Also, the Switch needs more themes other than black and white themes. I really want Shantae themes for Switch. I imagine we get some Shantae themes along with Shantae and Smash Brothers later this year. Wouldn't that be a treat? I'd like that, but maybe just get the themes. Maybe we can just settle for that. Anyway, it's gonna be interesting to finally move on from Challenger 5 and to start focusing on. Well, we could obviously Challenger Pack 5 and knowing what it is, but what's gonna happen moving forward with Smash Brothers. So I'm really looking forward to this Direct. I hope it's this week so we can start seeing more stuff. I don't want to wait another week, which kind of brings it to, I guess, the next topic here, and that is that this Twitter user known as Mug is saying January 16th will be the Nintendo Direct. So that could be the case. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Just kind of sit with that for a little bit moment, guys. I'm just going to check the chat right here. Want to finish scrolling through. Oh, the Joe saying rare replay for Switch. I would love that. Oh my god. Please. Computer Robots added me January or February Nintendo Direct. Which one do you realistically think it's going to come out? I think January. We've talked a little bit about it before, but basically my reasoning for that is, one, we need an update on that final character for the Fighters Pass. Yeah. We really do. And besides Joker getting revealed at the Game Awards in 2018, all the other Smash DLC characters have been revealed in a Nintendo Direct. So I don't think they're going to just randomly drop a trailer on Twitter for the final Smash character. I think there's going to be a reveal during a Nintendo Direct, and the deadline for this Fighters Pass that's ending is in February. They haven't done any shadow drops for the actual characters either. There's usually some sort of reveal first, and then either a few weeks or a month or two later, that's when they drop the character. So going by all of the precedents that have been set by the Smash team and Sakurai and Nintendo, the January Nintendo Direct pretty much has to happen, assuming they don't break any of those precedents. So that's one reason right there. Another reason is that Tokyo Mirage Sessions is coming out January 17th, and we should probably get some more information on that game. Now, granted, if it was just that, I would maybe say, hey, just drop a trailer on Twitter. That might be enough, but it probably will do it well to get a feature in a Nintendo Direct, so more people will have their eyes on it. And on top of that, we don't really know that much about this year. There's nothing set for February yet. We didn't have anything in December either. I don't know if Nintendo really wants to go December with nothing, just a Wii U port in January, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and then nothing in February. That seems like kind of a dry period in terms of releases. Now, granted, this is a period right after we got Sword and Shield, Luigi's Mansion 3, Fire Emblem Three Houses, Astral Chain, right? That's a packed sort of little period right there. Actually, there was also Link's Awakening and Mario Maker. That was all in succession. So that was awesome. But I feel like Nintendo might announce something for February. That honestly wouldn't surprise me. Maybe it's just a Smash thing. Maybe it's just an eShop title or something. But I feel like something's got to be there. And then I do think Animal Crossing should maybe get mentioned again. And then they need to start talking about what's coming out in the summer months, and spring months, April and May, and then June. We need to start getting a better picture of what's happening before E3. So there does need to be a Nintendo Direct really soon. Could it conceivably happen in February? Yes, last year it happened in February, but I feel like considering the need for information, considering the Tokyo Mirage Session situation, considering that there wasn't really much in December or February, and on top of the fact that there's a deadline for Smash Brothers, January to me is really the safe bet. Not to mention, there's a lot of rumors that are coming out now. You got those GameStop SKU listings, right, for a whole bunch of unannounced Switch games. There's that. We're hearing about the 2 Wii U ports from Emily Rogers. There's that. We're hearing about Mug saying January Nintendo Direct on the 16th, which I'm not sure I necessarily believe, but point is, it's all coming out now. There seems to be a lot of different things. In fact, I think recently, or is it supposed to happen tomorrow? I'm not sure if it was last week or if it's going to happen tomorrow, but there's supposed to be some sort of system maintenance for the Switch, which could mean an update, and oftentimes there is an update that precedes a Nintendo Direct. So that's another reason to think that Nintendo Direct is coming really, really soon. So my bet is January, and it could be this week, it could be next week. I feel really confident about that. What say you, Brandon?
I would also add just the fact that I definitely think we're getting an Animal Crossing Direct, and I don't think they want to have. I mean, obviously they can have directs pretty close together like they did last year.
Yeah,
with
last
Pokemon
year
Direct
we had
and
the
February Direct.
It's a 2-week difference.
But that's also Pokemon, so it's a little bit
right.
different
They
there.
operate sort of independently of the rest of Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and that game's coming out a lot sooner than Pokemon was. So it's a little bit of a different situation.
Very different.
I don't think they would want it that close together. Just space. They would want to have a little bit of space on that, I think.
I just think there needs to be more Animal Crossing discussion. I think we shouldn't have to wait all the way up until the end of February or like early March to get a whole blowout of Animal Crossing information. I don't think we've gone that blowout yet. So honestly,
there's still a lot more that we need to know.
Right. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see like a new trailer that actually gives us new content for the game. Because we got a trailer for Animal Crossing last September. That wasn't really new content. Like
We
maybe
haven't
it's like
had any new content.
if you break it down frame by frame, I'm
reveal.
sure the big Animal Crossing fans will have learned some details here and there.
Yeah.
But in reality, there hasn't been a big demonstration of a lot of new content for the game besides what we got at E3 with its initial reveal. So there's a big need for that. So I definitely agree. They should probably talk about it in an Intelligent Direct. Wait a little bit, talk about it again with an Animal Crossing focused Direct, and then the game comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another good point, Brandon. Well, let's continue on with the chat here, and then I want to get into that whole thing about this January 16th potential date. Let me see. All right, so Brandon Stallion is saying, this is back to what he's talking about, him 100% believing Diamond Pro Remix are coming out this year. He's saying, I know because Pokemon has been tweeting a bunch of Sinnoh stuff, which is exactly what they did with Pikachu and Eevee before Let's Go was announced, plus there's Sinnoh merch coming. Well, that could be the case. If we are starting to seriously get a lot of Sinnoh merchandise and tweets and posts, then I would hardcore agree with you. I need to look a little bit into that. I have heard about some merchandising. I did see one tweet that could have been perhaps suggesting that, but I haven't noticed that much besides that. But you know what? Let's go ahead and just look at Pokemon Company's Twitter page. Let's see if there is anything there that's just hardcore, like, hinting at it. And just because I don't see anything immediately, that's not me saying, hey, you're wrong. No, it could still be hints, but it'd be really nice if we could see some very obvious ones, so we could just say Sinnoh confirmed. But let's take a look. Pokemon. Alright, so I'm going to put this up here so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Alright, so Dream Big with Pokemon TCG, so that's not Sinnoh related. Ash's journey through... Oh! Ash's journey through Sinnoh region continues! Why are we talking about the Sinnoh region? Okay,
the anime.
Yes, so Sun and Moon. Okay, this talks about Sun and Moon here, but that was the finale that just happened. So I would say bringing up Sinnoh, that's some points for the Sinnoh confirmed community. Okay, put on those party hats. It's time to celebrate. Here's to another year of Pokemon adventures in 2020. Togepi, Pikachu. Okay, the Golden Magikarp event in Sword and Shield. New way to strengthen your sync pairs plus Solgaleos sighting on Pasio. Not really. Galarian Ponyta. This is December 20th. A Charmander, which that's just Charmander. So I'm not seeing anything that's hardcore. Whoa, wait, this is snow. Oh, but they're talking about winter. Got winter. Sinnoh's cold and it's wintry. Sinnoh confirmed. There you go. There's that. I mean,
it's also winter at the moment in real life.
No, that's not. No, what are you talking about, Brandon? That's not a coincidence. It's reality. On this day, 2002, Ash faced off against Jasmine. Okay, this is a cool little anime history thing. I don't know. So just looking at Pokemon Company's like main Twitter page, I don't see like hardcore but that one of those first tweets was about Sinnoh though. So hey, that could be the beginning of more sort of Sinnoh stuff. But let's look at what's his face? Oh God, Matsuda. I'm following him. Let's see if he's tweeted about anything that could perhaps be hinting at Sinnoh. Alright, this is all in Japanese, so I don't understand. Okay, so this seems to be about a whole bunch of old Pokemon, not necessarily Sinnoh. I have to translate everything. Okay, that's Daydane. That's Gen 6. He wants to work hard, though that's not necessarily focused on anything either. I will say, at that picture, all I noticed were the Sinnoh starters. Oh, look, food. That must for sure mean that Sinnoh, because food's in Sinnoh. Sinnoh confirmed.
Yeah, people eat food in Sinnoh.
Look, there's not that much blue, and blue is kind of like white and blue and like snow. And since there's no snow in here, that must mean all the snow is still in Sinnoh, so we're going back to Sinnoh. Sinnoh confirmed.
There you go,
All right, so, oh, there's a Leafeon, and Masuda replied to a Leafeon, and Leafeon was introduced in Sinnoh. Therefore, Sinnoh confirmed. Okay, so, again, we're not seeing that much hard. Well, I'm sure there's still other things that I haven't noticed, but just kind of like looking at the top, like that one tweet about Sinnoh that does get my hopes up a little bit, and there could definitely be more. So we'll definitely have to keep our eyes on that. But fingers crossed for Pearl and Diamond remakes this year. I would definitely want that, especially if they did spending time on it. But we'll see. We'll definitely see. So let's see here if you guys have anything to say on that in the chat. I'm kind of holding off like the January 16th rumor for the Direct. The Joe saying, Crash for Smash, post Fighters Pass. Perhaps. Terry Sivertson, I don't think Mario Kart Deluxe will get DLC this far after it released, but I do think we'll get Mario Kart 9. We'll see. Let's see here. Flat and Motionless is saying, 3D World and Wind Waker ports we want. Terry Sivertson, I do hope we get a Direct this week, but let's hope there's no earthquake that causes a Direct to be delayed. I remember when that happened. Yeah, I wouldn't want any sort of calamity to occur. Jackdaw is...
in general, we wouldn't want any earthquakes, not just because, Directs get delayed.
Yeah, because people in lives in pain and suffering. We don't want that. Jackdaw, Breath of the Wild 2 info? Question mark. Maybe?
I really don't think
so. Like, they could do a thing where they do a teaser, and they're like, but like a really quick one, like I would say smaller than what we got at E3, and it just confirms that Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out in 2020. I think that's possible, honestly. I could see something like somewhat along the lines of what we got when they confirmed Animal Crossing. Not last September, but the September before, September 2018. Except maybe with actually a little bit of gameplay. Something like that could potentially happen. Maybe. And actually, want to know something that would be really cool? Just like a potential scenario. Not necessarily a likely one, but just like a cool one. Okay. So let's say they reveal a final character in the Fighters Pass, right? And then they decide to introduce one more DLC character. Or maybe the final DLC character is this character. But let's say it's like a champion from Breath of the Wild 2. That would be pretty cool. As a playable character. What's her face? I want to say Nibiru, but it's not Nibiru. It's, you know who I'm talking about. The Gerudo champion. What's her name?
Yes.
Nibiru is...
the young one or the old one?
No. The old one.
Why can I not remember?
Yeah, it's slipping my name.
See, if you hadn't said the wrong name, I probably would remember.
Yeah. Noboris is not her. If I search Gerudo champ, why does the name slip? Oh, Urbosa. I had to Google it. I did not remember it. So yeah, Urbosa would be cool. I would like that. Even though I can't remember her name, I definitely want her in. Like for surezies. She'd be like she's my favorite champion.
Yeah. Definitely.
So that'd be really cool. And imagine they did. So back to this or Falco, but we already have Falco. Fine. The scenario would be they reveal Urbosa as Smash DLC, and then they use that leading into another little quick trailer confirming Breath of the Wild 2 in 2020. Basically kind of what they did with the Animal Crossing reveal, where they had Isabelle confirmed for Smash Brothers, and that sort of transitioned into an Animal Crossing Switch announcement. So that'd be really cool to see. I doubt that'll happen, but just a fun scenario.
I'll say the same thing I said last week when I think somebody brought up a big announcement for January for like the end of the year. I don't remember if it was Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey or something. They don't want to distract from all the games coming before E3 by announcing big things for games coming afterwards. Because if they end a January Direct, if they say Breath of the Wild 2020, all the headlines are going to be Breath of the Wild 2 2020, and nobody's going to be talking about all those other games they announced, leading up to E3, which are the ones that need the attention. So I don't think they ever really announce things for the end of the year in the January Directs because they don't want to distract from everything.
So I kind of understand what you're saying, but I'll counter that by saying this. They revealed Breath of the Wild 2 at E3 last year, which you could argue would dwarf everything else they talked about, right? Like, you know what I mean? Or like, whenever you have a really hype announcement at the end of a Direct, should that really overshadow everything else? You know what I mean? Like, I understand what you're saying, but if, for example, having a Breath of the Wild teaser at the very end of a January Title Direct leads to people talking about the January Title Direct in general, more people looking at that and seeing what else was discussed, I think in a way that could actually benefit everything else that was discussed as well. See, you understand what the point I'm getting at? Like, even though I understand what you're saying, how there could potentially be an overshadowing, it could also cause more eyes to just look at things in general as well. So,
I just don't think it's something Nintendo typically does. Not that I can remember. They don't typically talk about like end of the year, holiday stuff. Like sometimes, I think the latest they really ever talk about in January Direct's like late summer.
I'm just trying to consider like a precedent here. You know what I mean? Like, what?
Yeah, I don't think it's typical for Nintendo to talk anything beyond like midsummer.
Do we have any examples that could sort of compare to what we're getting with Breath of the Wild right now? You know what I mean? Like, is there anything else that Nintendo has done recently with the Switch that kind of could give us an idea of how they're going to sort of share information about this game? Like,
I don't know.
So, do you remember when Breath of the Wild came out in March? See, that was weird because for Breath of the Wild initially, right, we waited years to get any information about the game, right? But at E3 2016 was complete sort of like blowout because we got to finally see like actual gameplay, and the Great Plateau was just chock full of content. And then after that, what did we get? We got nothing.
Really saw the game much after.
Well, what we got was there was the Switch reveal trailer, right, in late 2017, and that had like a couple little snippets of Breath of the Wild, right, like with the Hinox and stuff, showing off the Switch. And then January, there was that amazing trailer that I think is arguably the best game trailer of all time. Granted, it kind of suggested the story was better than it was, but needless to say, it was a really hyped trailer, right? So, and then the game came out in March. So, from the time it got a blowout, then quick little snippet, then big trailer, then game came out in March. So, E3, I don't remember exactly when it came out. Was it October that there was a Switch reveal trailer? Then the presentation in January, and then March the game came out. But of course, that's just when the E3 thing happened, because before that, there was the dark ages of the Wii U, and people just wanted anything Zelda just to have something to hope for the future. So that's why it's not even really like a good comparison, because it was like before the Switch era even began. Like for example, Mario Odyssey, the first time we saw it was the Switch reveal trailer. Then we actually got an actual trailer for it in January. Then the game came out holiday season. So it was revealed, like not revealed but teased in October, right? Gameplay revealed January, more of a focus at E3, and then it came out October. So that was its cycle. Breath of the Wild 2, I'm pretty sure it's gonna have a longer cycle than that. I guess it just needs to be like, do you think that what they're gonna do is have the game come out, or so that we had the one trailer? Like, you don't think they're gonna show it off even one more time before a blowout E3, or are we just gonna wait until E3 to learn everything about this game? Not everything, but like a release date and what's going on with the gameplay, things like that. Because then after that, what are they gonna do? think they need a Zelda-focused direct, you know?
No.
Like, maybe they'll just have, like, an epic trailer at the end of a September Nintendo Direct, maybe? Or something like that before the game comes out in, let's say, October.
The only thing I could see before E3 would be another teaser trailer, but, like, real short. I don't think we get a name. The most I think we get is, like, a release date. But I don't think it'd be in the January Direct, though. I think it'd be...
Maybe spring.
If we got, like... Yeah, if we got, like, a spring Direct, we could see it there. You know, a few seconds of something, and then 2020. But I don't even think we get, like, as long as trailers we did for, like, the teaser E3. Maybe, but I think it's going to be a little shorter than that, and then confirming it for 2020. Because I could see a 2020 confirmation, because I think if they don't show it at all until E3, people might get worried that's getting... you know, a 2021 release date. So maybe they want to confirm it, but I don't see that as a January Direct.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
if it does happen, I'd be hype as hell. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I want that to happen. I just don't think it will.
I guess we will have to wait and see on that one. We'll have to wait and see. So Brandon Stallion was saying, I saw a screenshot. It was of, say, Sinnoh Starter plushie. So he's talking about this Sinnoh Starter plushies. I don't know. Yeah, but just to go back to the question about Breath of the Wild 2 info, I would say maybe not expect it for a January Nintendo Direct. I'm not expecting Zelda info for a January Nintendo Direct, personally. Like, if we get it, I'll be very happy. But I do not expect it. Because, like, to your point, Brandon, like, they don't really need to show it off right now. It would be nice to get a 2020 confirmation at some point before E3. That may happen, but it may not even be necessary. So we'll have to kind of wait and see on that. Personally, I'm just not expecting it. At E3, for sure, I'm expecting to see Zelda, but before then, that's really kind of the big question mark.
If we don't see it at E3...
well, then it's not coming out this year.
It's not coming out, like, anytime soon. I don't know. If we don't see it, there's 1% chance, less than 1% chance we don't see it at E3.
Ooh. I hope it's... I don't even want to think about chances. I just kind of expect it to be there. So,
yeah.
We'll see. Terry Saracen, I have a feeling that every single DLC fighter will be third party. Well, I want some of them to be Nintendo, but that as long as the characters are good, it doesn't really matter to me. Computer robots. Who's going to be getting the Richter and Dark Samus amiibo, and which one is going to be rare this time? I'm not the biggest amiibo collector, but I do want me some Dark Samus. So
Dark Samus, I might get. Actually.
Yeah. Dark Samus would be pretty epic.
I don't think I'd get Richter. I don't really care enough about him.
Yeah. So
I do love amiibos though, but I don't have an infinite cash supply. So.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They're expensive. So the Joe has an interesting question here. The Joe is saying, do you think we'll get 2 characters announced for Smash at the inevitable January Direct? I want there to be 2. They could do 2, like maybe, but the only time they revealed 2 DLC characters at once was at E3. And I would say January Nintendo Direct is smaller than E3.
Oh yeah, way smaller. I think there would just be 1. I think they want to focus on that guy. You know, I think maybe that might outline what their plans are for the next DLC fighter. Maybe give a hint, but I don't even think we get a hint. I think they talk about the first DLC fighter, or the 5th DLC fighter, maybe announce a time where they're going to talk about it more. I don't know. They might not even do that. And then outline the 2nd Challenger Pack or whatever they're doing for more DLC. I don't think we'd see another fighter.
Well, I guess it would, it kind of depends on what their plans are for the next Fighters Pass, I guess, or whatever like, we don't know if they're going to do it like a straight-up Fighters Pass. Like, it might just be, hey, we're going to drop another character here and then, and that's it, right? Like, it's not like a whole pack. Maybe. It may be another pack. It may have a different name. It may just be 4 characters instead of 5 or 3. Hard to say, right? Maybe it comes with an adventure mode and like 3 characters. You know, like there's different options. If there was an adventure mode, I'd be really hyped about that, but I really doubt that.
Yeah.
So I think, well, whatever we get is going to be very telling of what we should sort of expect moving forward. But I don't know. I brought up like, hey, if there's going to be not like some characters that aren't going to be third party, I think that should maybe be addressed at some point, like some sort of mention to that. And if the final character in the Fighters Pass is third party, and they also talk about the details of the next Fighters Pass, I would at least hope that something would be mentioned that could give us an idea of what to expect. So, that's kind of like what I'm sort of looking forward to seeing. I don't expect 2 characters, but if that happens, hey, I'll be dancing. I'll be dancing if Breath of the Wild's revealed, if they reveal 2 characters. Yeah. I'll be dancing if they finally give us some Banjo-Kazooie information, because a lot of us expected some sort of rare content to come to the Switch. That has not happened yet. I'm hoping for a rare replay. That would be a nice little January Direct announcement, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Maybe that could be the February game.
Oh, that would be a great February game. I'd be happy about that. Oh, man. Stop getting me excited. Oh, God. Oh, I'm giddy. Youthful Yoshi. See, I got added. Do you think Pikmin 4 will be revealed at the January Direct? So, you know what? I will eventually get to the mug thing about a January 16th Direct, even though I think it might be sooner. But let's first get into what Emily Rogers is saying, because I think it's relevant to Youthful Yoshi's question. Okay. So, basically, yeah, Youthful Yoshi's asking, do you think Pikmin 4 could be revealed at a January Direct? I'm going to say no. And that's mainly because I think, based off what Emily Rogers is saying, maybe we should expect a Pikmin 3 port. So, basically, yeah, Emily Rogers has said, I can also confirm that Nintendo has at least 2 more unannounced Wii U ports. They are not difficult to guess because there aren't many Wii U games left to port. One of those is Pikmin 3. Right? Okay, so I mean, what other Wii U ports are there left? There's Pikmin 3, Wonderful 101, Super Mario 3D World, Xenoblade X, Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess HD. That's 6.
It's pretty much all.
And considering the track record of Emily Rogers, kind of, sort of, Emily Rogers has legitimate sources, but sometimes I feel like she puts in her own opinion or there's some interpretations. I wouldn't be shocked if she counted Metroid Prime Trilogy as a Wii U port, right? Like, that wouldn't surprise me. So, even though it technically isn't. It's a Wii. It would be a Wii port.
These games have been on the Wii U.
Yeah, but it was an eShop title on the Wii U, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which I would still
through
consider.
The Wii eShop though, because you could access the Wii eShop through the Wii U.
It was on the Wii U eShop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I'm fairly certain of that. I think. Pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Okay. Like it does boot into the Wii menu when you play the game. Like it does use the Wii emulator to play it, but I'm pretty sure you could pick it up on the normal Wii U eShop. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So most of those games you had to go to the Wii eShop to buy.
Right. Now, it's entirely possible that she's not talking about Metroid Prime Trilogy at all, but even if it isn't, that we brought up 6 that are legitimate 100% Wii U ports, or Wii U games, and all of those could potentially be ported. So I don't think it's like, hey, 50-50 here, but I do feel like Pikmin 3 is likely one of them, because this is something that was discussed last year with another credible leaker, King Zell. They hinted at Box Boy, what was it, a 2D Zelda, and Mario Maker right before Direct, and this is on the heels of the release of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. How many people would predict Mario Maker right after a 2D Mario game had just come out, on top of getting Box Boy right and a 2D Zelda game being Link's Awakening? So I feel like that was pretty good. Now, he had also
Yeah.
said Metroid Prime Trilogy and Pikmin 3, and neither of those have come out or been announced yet. But Metroid Prime Trilogy has been so blatantly rumored for a while. I think that the reason we haven't seen it has a lot more to do with the Metroid Prime 4 restart. So they probably were going to release Metroid Prime Trilogy soon, but
Yeah.
because of the restart, they moved it up, which is why a lot of rumor givers or leakers, what have you, were talking about it because it was close and it was discussed. Right, rumor givers. So that's why a lot of people have been talking about it, but they delayed it, which is kind of what happens when you, even if you have inside information, you're talking about things that haven't been revealed yet. Plans can change, right? It was not ready to be made into an open public announcement because, well, things got delayed. So it wouldn't shock me if that's why he was wrong about Metroid Prime Trilogy. And the Pikmin 3 thing could simply be that it wasn't its time to be revealed yet. And maybe here in this January Direct, it is revealed. That makes sense to me. And given that I think Pikmin 3 is fairly likely, I don't think Pikmin 4 will be announced in a January Direct unless they decide to forego the Pikmin 3 port and just focus on Pikmin 4. Because it's been years and supposedly they've been working on it for a while. So
that could happen.
Perhaps.
I mean, if it's a summer title, they might announce it in a January Direct.
Pikmin is a great summer game, so I hope that happens.
Yeah.
Or spring game. Honestly, spring kind of, like, in terms of like the theme of Pikmin, like I feel like spring is like really like the right time to have it come out, but not that really matters, right? So, well, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, if you had to guess, Brandon, like, do you expect to hear something Pikmin in a January Nintendo Direct?
I think it's time, right? You think it's about time. We've been hearing so many rumors. We've been talking about Pikmin 4 for the last, like, 4 years, 5 years. So we've been talking about Pikmin for so long. They've done nothing with that series. Everybody's like, where the hell is Pikmin? I think it's about time that they show either a port of 3 or maybe 4. Though I think 4 is a lot less likely, as we said. Though I don't know. You kind of mentioned, them just focusing on 4 instead of 3, and I could kind of see that if they're ready. If Pikmin 4 is ready for this year, I could see them just being like, you know what, we're just gonna put Pikmin 4 out and not do Pikmin 3. I don't know. But I do think Pikmin 3 is more likely. I think yesterday we just talked about being in February. I don't think that was likely just because January has a Wii U port and then February had a Wii U port. That'd be kind of weird. So I'd like to redact my prediction of Pikmin 3 in February from last week. But I think it could be like a good early to mid-summer title.
Okay. Wait, so are you saying Pikmin 4 or Pikmin 3?
3.
Okay. Perhaps. Yeah, I wish I could, like, give a solid prediction on that. I don't really have one. Assuming Emily Rogers is correct, I would guess Pikmin 3. So I'm going to side with Pikmin 3 first before Pikmin 4. Especially since it's been such a long time since we've gotten a Pikmin game. It may make sense to get Pikmin 3 out there first and then come in with Pikmin 4 later. That's kind of what they did with Bayonetta. That does kind of seem like what they're trying to do with Metroid. So we'll see. But I got another question here from Brendan. Do you think Nintendo will release another teaser trailer for Breath of the Wild 2 during the next Direct? We sort of talked about that already. No. Like, I want it, but I'm not... I don't want to say for sure no. Like, it might happen, but I'm not expecting it.
There's maybe a 5% chance of that.
Yeah, I do want a 2020 confirmation before E3, but I'm just not sure when that's going to happen. If it even happens until E3. It may not even be a 2020 game, but I predict it will be. Terry Severson believes that the two Wii U ports will be Pikmin 3 and Mario 3D World. A lot of people are guessing Mario 3D World.
I mean, it is the last, big Mario game on the Wii U that we don't really have an equivalent of on the Switch. And, Mario just sells really well. So I could see Nintendo being like, hey, this is a good Wii U port to bring. So I think, honestly, 3D World and Pikmin 3 are the most likely. Wonderful 101 is also pretty close because I think the developers were talking about a port of that game at some point, or I don't remember exactly what, but they were talking about that, and a lot of people really want that. So I think those are probably the 3 most likely in my opinion.
So the reason why I don't feel good about 3D World specifically, 2 reasons. The main reason is that Super Mario Odyssey something I think is in the works. Now maybe it doesn't come out this year, and if it doesn't come out this year, maybe it makes sense to have a 3D World port. But honestly, I feel like there isn't really a need for a 3D World port. I feel like it just makes more sense for them to come out with Super Mario Odyssey 2. We've heard that 2017, or that 2020, from Emily Rogers actually, I think she's brought it up before as well, but 2020 is supposed to be similar to 2017, and 2 big games for Nintendo in 2017 were Zelda and Mario. I honestly wouldn't. I think that Mario Odyssey 2, or whatever it's going to be called, might be coming out this year as well. Maybe it won't, and if that's the case, maybe 3D World port makes sense. But I think if I'm right, and Odyssey 2 is around the corner, then I do not see a need for 3D World. But to be fully fair, last year we got New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and then 6 months later we got Mario Maker 2. 2D Mario games. Now you can make the argument that they're kind of different. Like, they are pretty different from each other, even though they're both 2D Mario games. So there is that. But either way, even though that was kind of a weird situation personally, at least in my opinion, I still think that if assuming Super Mario Odyssey 2 is coming really soon, like sometime this year soon, I do not expect a 3D World port.
I will say 3D World is way more different to Odyssey than Mario Maker is to New Super Mario Brothers.
I'm trying to decide if I agree.
I mean, they're technically both in the 3D space.
Well, so Mario Maker is a platform builder, right? A 2D platform builder. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is a 2D platforming game. Super Mario 3D World is a 2.5. I mean, it's 3D, but it's
3D.
It's 3D, but
it's still like restrained levels.
Yeah.
It
has a lot of multiplayer elements.
Yeah, multiplayer.
But while Odyssey is a full-on
Odyssey.
sandbox, open-ish 3D game platformer.
It's way different. I think you could play a
level
in Mario Maker that feels similar to a level in Mario Brothers, but you could not play a level in 3D World that felt anything like what you're doing in Odyssey.
Well, Mario Maker's point is to basically recreate any sort of 2D Mario level possible, so I'll give you that. But just give me your honest opinion, though. Do you think Nintendo would release Super Mario 3D World U Deluxe, whatever, and Super Mario Odyssey 2 in the same year? Your honest opinion.
I'd say it's not completely unlikely. But I'm leaning towards no.
Okay. And that's pretty much where I sit as well, actually. Oh, you were going to give us a scale.
If I had to put it on a scale, I'd say I'm 40% confident that that could happen. It's almost 50-50 on whether they would do that or not. It's just kind of a weird prediction, but if that makes any sense, 40% is my confidence on that, assuming, if I could know that Super Mario Odyssey was coming out, or 2 was coming out this year.
Yeah. So I had 2 reasons. The one reason is because I think Mario Odyssey 2 is around the corner. The other reason is because of all the 3D Mario games, 3D World is my least favorite 3D Mario game, so it's kind of like I guess a little bit of a bias. Not that it was not a good game, because it was. I 100%ed it, so I obviously liked it if I 100%ed the game.
Yeah.
So, I'm not trying to say it's not a good game.
Really,
I liked
really
it.
Well, though.
It didn't?
No, I think it would sell really well, and I think it
Oh,
did sell well.
I think
sold
it
like
would be
4
fun to
million or
play
more
on
than
a
4
Switch
million.
in handheld mode. I mean,
Yeah.
pretty much any game is good on Switch, as long as it doesn't look like
It's a good
vomit.
multiplayer Mario game in my opinion. I know you don't like it as a multiplayer game, but I like it as a multiplayer
I
game.
don't like it. And I guess maybe they'll
It's
see, oh,
honestly
we can do
better
it with
than
the
New Super Mario
Joy-Cons.
Brothers as a multiplayer game in my opinion. Because I hate playing 2D
I don't
Mario
like
games
it.
as multiplayer.
I don't like any. I don't like them. I don't like the more multiplayer 3D Mario. That's the part I don't like. I like the single player part. I don't like the multiplayer part. That's just me though.
I
Now,
like it with 2 players, not necessarily any more than that. 2 players I think is good.
tell you this: if they add like 50% more content, I'm in. That's not happening though. Maybe 10% more content. Probably 2% more content. Like, you know what? Not even 1%. They're gonna add like 1 star. It's not even stars. It's flags. But let's check in with the chat here. Let's see what I missed. Mango saying I want to port a Star Fox Zero. I want a remake of Star Fox. No, you know what? No, because
No
Star Fox Zero
Zero.
is a reimagining of a remake of a reimagining of a remake or something. Like, they've redone that story way too many times. I want a new Star Fox game. Brand new. Oh, but Star Fox Zero technically is another Wii U game that could be ported, by the way.
I highly doubt that
it was not received well. So of all the Wii U games they would port, Star Fox Zero. Yeah, I agree. Probably not. Maybe Star Fox Guard,
Nintendo
though.
would also look at it and just, you can't do the same control theme. And I think they might, in their mind, Miyamoto's probably still like all, proud of that control scheme, even though it's not good. So I don't think they would want to do it because I don't think it would keep the integrity of the game porting it over, just because it would control completely differently than it did in the original version.
Hard to say. I want Star Fox back. I liked Star Fox Zero even though the controls were terrible and the graphics were subpar and it had no one line. Like, it was, there's so much it could have been that it was not.
I remember when that first got announced, I was really hyped for it, and then as we got more information, I was like, no.
So, Caleb Stars is asking, what have I missed? Well, we've talked about several things. To kind of sum up where we're at right now, we talked a little bit about Diamond Pearl potential remakes. We looked at Twitter to see if we could see some obvious hints. I saw one tweet, and I have heard about the other things that were mentioned by Brandon Stallion as well, such as, like, there has been some talks about merchandising. I did see that post with the Sinnoh plushie starters as well. So maybe there is something there, but I just want to point out that with the whole Pearl and Diamond remake thing, a lot of people want it to happen, so people might be staring like hawks, like just watching for any potential clue, and there might be a lot of confirmation bias there. Like, the moment you see something that might suggest what you want to be true is true, you're like, there it is, there's the proof, but you won't look at the whole picture, and it could perhaps lead to expectations that aren't gonna really, leave you feeling well if it doesn't happen. So I'm not all in on the Pearl and Diamond remake train quite yet in terms of it happening. I've talked about it. I talked about my 2020 predictions because I do think it's definitely a possibility, like a strong one, but I'm not like 100%. I'm 50-50 at this point. So we'll see. That's one thing we discussed a little bit of. We've also talked about when we could maybe see Breath of the Wild, if we could see it in the January Direct. You and I are both of us are just thinking like maybe, but probably not. We're not expecting it. Besides that, don't port Star Fox Zero. That's pretty much it. Right now, we're sort of thinking about, I guess, what potential Wii U ports. Like, we think you and I both, Pikmin 3 seems to be like a likely candidate.
You haven't really said what your second likely one would be. All you've said is you don't think it's 3D World.
Well, it wouldn't shock me if honestly it is just Pikmin 3. That's it. And Metroid Prime Trilogy, and it's being confused as a Wii U port. Like, that's pretty much that's my expectation. if there is another Wii U port, like let's say it's a completely perfectly translated rumor to what is reality, and it materializes, I'm gonna say Wonderful 101.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta say Wonderful 101 is like a February title, even though Tokyo Mirage Sessions came out there. Like I just
I think it would be weird.
like
if
it
there
might
was,
it
like,
might be a
Wii
thing
U
where it has
port,
like extra
and then next
content in
month,
there.
Another Wii U port.
I don't know. I just with the whole Wind Waker HD thing, like they could bring that, but then what about Twilight Princess HD? And then there was a whole bunch of Skyward Sword HD like a year ago at a Zelda
honestly
concert.
don't think Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD will come over.
Buy a Wii U.
I wish. Oh God, I wish they would come over. I'd buy them both again.
What's funny is that the Wii U is actually
third
like the
time.
best Zelda system.
Yeah.
Because up to this point, at
it
least
is
it
pretty
has
great.
every Zelda game, at least every 3D Zelda game and most 2D Zelda games. It might have all of them.
It's got Skyward Sword. You can play that backwards compatibility. You got Spirit Tracks. You got Phantom Hourglass. You got Majora's Mask. You
You can also
Ocarina
download
of
Skyward
Time.
Sword on the eShop as well too, so you don't even
True.
have to get the disc.
You got
All the 3D Zeldas, all of them.
all
You got you got the Phantom
You got the
Hourglass.
original,
You got
you
Link to
got
the Past,
2.
Zelda 2, Zelda 1.
I think you got like everything.
Oracle of
it's
Ages and
not really
Seasons?
the best way to play most.
Maybe
of
not
them,
Oracle of
but-
Ages and Seasons.
No,
Eh,
they are there. They are
okay.
there on the Wii U.
If it was
Or
on
maybe it's
3DS
a 3DS.
eShop,
It might have been 3DS, but I was pretty sure it's on the Wii.
it might be on both.
Yeah, I don't know. Pretty sure.
The Wii U is the best place to play Zelda in terms of like having everything in one space,
Mm-hmm.
and it has.
Most of the versions aren't really the best versions of them, but at least they're there.
they're all there, including Breath of the Wild, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a terrible way to play Breath of the Wild. It's not nearly as good as the Switch version, but it's not a terrible way to play the game. It works.
Yep. I have seen some conversation here about F-Zero. I am all on the F-Zero train. Let that happen. I see NAK is bidding us good night. Have a good night, NAK. Take care. But let's so I guess Brandon, what are your predictions? Pikmin 3 and Wonderful 101? Or 3D World?
I think 3D World. I want to go with 101 though, because the developers talked about that.
It has been hinted at, yeah.
Pikmin 3 and Wonderful 101 seem good. Wonderful 101 and 3D World have like the same likelihood in my opinion, but I'll say Wonderful 101 because there may be a few hints about that. It's Pikmin 3 and Wonderful 101. And you think it's just Pikmin 3?
Maybe Wonderful 101. I'm 50-50 on it. Keep in mind, Bayonetta 3 might also be coming out this year.
Eventuality, so.
Now, not that I think that Bayonetta 3 and Wonderful 101 have like a lot of overlap, but they are two different Platinum games. And actually, Star Fox Zero. So this should just be the year of Platinum games. Let's get them all.
God, no, not Star Fox Zero. I'm pretty sure Platinum wants to forget that game exists.
Yeah. So Brandon is saying, don't forget Onuma promises that there will be a Zelda game every year. Yeah, but just because even if like both Brandon and I think Breath of the Wild 2 could be coming out this year, but it doesn't mean they'll talk about it in a January direct and may wait later into the year to show it off. So we'll see. They could even have two Zelda things this year, so maybe. Yeah, maybe we get one of the 3D Zeldas ported over, or we get some sort of like smaller Zelda game. Even though we got that last year, right?
They announced Wind Waker HD. I will buy it, and I will do a 4th playthrough of that game.
Yeah, Wind Waker HD is really good. So, what have we not covered yet? So we talked about the Wii U ports. Well, let's talk about the January Direct thing. So, let's see if I can find the post on Twitter, because yes, there's this guy Mug. I'm gonna bring up this Twitter. Let's see if he deleted it. If he deleted it, then there's nothing much to talk about. There it is. Direct on the 16th. That's literally all he said. So, here's Sabby, right? Is it Sabby? Or is there someone who had the same avatar as Sabby? This is something that Mug posted a long time ago, right? And it was supposedly predicting a whole bunch of things that would be revealed. XCOM, Pikmin Wonderful 1, Banjo, Metroid, Mass Effect, Tomb Raider, Maple Star. I remember this. Most of this did not happen. So we still haven't gotten Pikmin. I don't know anything of XCOM. No Wonderful 101 yet. Banjo, I mean, we got Banjo-Kazooie at E3. Metroid, still no. Mass Effect, not to my knowledge. Tomb Raider is a no. I'm not sure about this one. So point is that even though in the past this guy has gotten some things right, he's also gotten some things wrong apparently. So I take this with a grain of salt for sure. And on top of that, the 16th could happen. Like definitely, that is one of the dates that I would consider a high likelihood. In fact, I would say my 4 dates that are like what I'm sort of focusing on are the 8th, the 9th, the 15th, and the 16th. So I think they can happen. Why do I say those dates? Mainly because they fall on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and that's pretty much the days we see Nintendo Directs now. Lately, Nintendo's moved earlier onto Wednesdays, so it wouldn't surprise me. Like, I'm betting that we either get a Nintendo Direct this Wednesday or next week on the 15th. I feel like this week makes a little bit more sense, though, because Tokyo Mirage Sessions comes out on the 17th, so I kind of feel like a week beforehand makes more sense as opposed to like a day beforehand. Before the game comes out. But any of these 4 days, 8, 9, 15, or 16, I think are pretty decent bets for Nintendo Direct. So if Mug is just making a prediction, then hey, I think it's a solid one, but I don't think it's necessarily like a legit leak.
Yeah, I could definitely see the 16th though.
Yeah.
I mean, they've talked about games like the day before. Like in the past they've done that for directs, but like, hey, this is launching like tomorrow or like in a few days. So it's not necessarily like they don't always need like a week or more between them to talk about them in a direct. So I could definitely see the 16th. My bet is either the 9th or the 16th. Though I'm kind of leaning towards the 16th just because I feel like every year we think it's gonna be like in the first or second week, but it's hardly ever is from my recollection. Like every time I predict like the first or second week, it's always like the third or fourth.
Yeah.
So I think 16th could be likely. 15th or 16th, I'll say.
You're gonna get wrecked when it happens this week.
Because generally, like 11th, 12th, 13th, those are all days.
Shall we look upon the Nintendo Direct archive as we like to do quite often?
We can.
Let's look upon the Nintendo Direct archive.
Not to trust my memory.
On to the archives.
My stuff, so
see what the Jedi Masters have left us with.
But I believe we've got the presentation was on the 13th.
Okay, so unfortunately, this is numbers, so I don't know what days those fall under. Well, I mean, we could at least see. Yeah, so the September Direct was the beginning of the month. Okay, that's the second week, right? 5th is obviously that's pretty early in the month.
Well, I'm talking specifically about January Directs, though.
Well, the last time it was a January Direct was a while ago. This was halfway through the month, 13th. That was a Smash
What time
Direct.
of the month was the Direct Mini in
January 11th.
Okay, that's what I thought. I got one on the 11th, and then the
So I have my calendar here. Is my calendar visible on the podcast? On the stream?
I don't know because my calendar's in the way.
Oh.
I think it is. I don't think you pulled it up for me yet, though.
Oh, okay. So this is my little window of dates: 8, 9, 15, 16. 11th, 2018. What would that be?
It is. I can see it now.
That was on a Thursday. It was the second week. And I'm predicting 2020. I mean, technically, this is the second week, right? It's just the first week wasn't a whole week for January. So there's that. There was also the 2017 presentation, which is not listed on the archives here because it technically was not called a direct.
That was on, the 13th, I think?
I'm looking it up now. Switch presentation. January 13th. Yeah. So there is, let's check that date out. Was that the first or second week? This is 2018, right? 2017, I mean. 13th. So it fell on the second week. So technically, right? Here's the thing. Yeah, it depends how you look at it, but consider this. Everyone's coming back from holidays, so they need some time to come back from the holidays to sort of adjust and prepare for the new year, right? To set up the Nintendo Direct. So I don't know when they would come back from the holidays, but there is technically, like, the first week of January is this week. Now, the 8th or 9th would be a little early compared to some of the other directs we've seen, but only by a few days. Like, it is still technically the second week, right? And I mean, if it happens on a Thursday, we're talking about the difference of 2 days in the year, really, or 4, depending on which one we're talking about. So, like, because if it happens the next week, then we're talking about the 15th or 16th, then it's actually a little bit later than it usually is when it comes to having a presentation or direct in January. So, I mean, pick your poison, right? 8th or 9th, 15th or 16th. Like,
I think they would do later rather than earlier, though.
Okay.
Give themselves a little bit of time to put everything together rather than rush.
Certainly possible.
Because you never know, like, if they were just barely making that, 11, days into the year, month time period. Like, they could have been rushing a little bit to get that, or, maybe that was a good time for them. That was a good amount of time, so they're not rushing. And I would say it's more likely that they would do something a little bit later rather than a little bit earlier.
There was more time since their holiday break to get it all together. So, yeah, I see your point. So, it could be the 15th or 16th. I see that. Maybe I'm even kind of sliding a little bit more towards this week now than 8 and 9. Obviously, we're going to find out soon, pretty much. Like, if we don't see an announcement within the next 3 days, then it's not happening this week. So, we'll see on that. Just here, checking in with the chat. Terry is saying, I think the direct will be this week on Wednesday or Thursday. I hope so. Okay, so Terry's saying that there's Switch maintenance happening on Wednesday the 8th this week. Given that, that might give us more hope for a direct this week. Either one can happen, guys. Like, I mean, how much does it matter splitting hairs here between the 8th or the 16th? Like, it's either this week or next week. That's pretty much it. So, we'll see. But given that there is maintenance, that does give me more confidence that it could be sooner than later. For sure. Besides that, what else is there to cover, Brandon? Is the podcast already over? Are we done? Are we done yet? What do you think, Brandon?
I don't know. We could go over our final predictions for the January Direct and just in general.
You see, that would make sense, but let's talk about something more interesting.
Okay.
So, Dr. Serkan Toto says, no doubt in my mind that Nintendo will launch Switch Pro in 2020. So, basically, this guy is a dude who... he's an analyst, and he predicts things that are going to happen. I'll just read off what he had to say about the Switch. He had quite a few things, actually, to say. I could just read it all off to you guys. We kind of just sort of talk about it here. So, this guy's saying... there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that Nintendo will launch a Switch Pro in 2020. My guess is $399. More specifically, I predict 4K support, bigger cartridge sizes, and of course beefed up components. I also think the device will launch after the summer holidays to counter the rollout of the PS5 and next-gen Xbox later in the year, along with a first-party system seller game. For a while, too. So, that's the first thing he said.
Okay.
He also said there could be more Microsoft games on Switch. Okay, agreed. There'll be more subscriptions. Interesting. Oh, let me read specifically what he said here. I expect Sony to finally roll PlayStation Now and Plus into one price in 2020. Microsoft is also likely to add xCloud to one of their already existing service bundle deals. Next year, Nintendo will also add N64 games to Switch Online. Well, the trend does suggest that, so fingers crossed. These services mark a major turn. Okay, I don't care about that. Anyway, spectacular game on mobile. I also don't care about mobile. So, that's what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Do you think this guy, Dr. Serkan Toto from Kantan Games, has any merit in what he says about Switch Pro in 2020 for $399?
$399.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this last week.
We did.
I definitely think a Switch Pro, not this specifically, but we talked about the Pro in general last week.
Yeah.
I definitely think a Switch Pro is coming out this year. I think there's a market for it. I think it'd be good to compete, try to also say like, hey, we're not falling behind here and launching a new revision. They did launch one last year and everybody thought, light and then Pro, right? So launching a Pro this year would be nice. And launching it with Breath of the Wild would be smart. I could, though. I don't think it'll be at the same time period as the PS5 and Xbox One. Like, I don't think it'll be at the same time. I think it'll be a little bit earlier. And I think it'd be smart. I don't think it'd be great to launch a Switch Pro right at the same time as the next-gen systems. Because if you go in the store, most people are like, oh, I can buy a completely new next-gen system, or I could buy a revision of a system that's been out for 3 years. Like, they're gonna, most people I think would go for that next-gen system. So I think launching a few months earlier would be good. I don't know if it would launch at the same time as Breath of the Wild, just because I do think they need to have that few months in between. I think September would be good. I think that's a little too early to expect Breath of the Wild 2 in September. I don't necessarily think it even needs like a big launch game. They might have some game that comes with it that's improved. Like, it might not be as big as Breath of the Wild, but it could be a game that has good graphics. Maybe even a couple third-party games, or I don't even think it needs it. I don't think it really needs it though. But what do you think? You're holding up two.
I have two titles in mind. I'm sorry about my hairband thing. I'm always constantly like, if you put something in my hands, I'm just gonna interact with it subconsciously. Like I just do that.
I am currently rubbing the cord of my headband. Just
like, if you want paper to be torn apart,
headband.
There's your headband, right? Wrapped inside your ears.
Yeah,
so
there we go.
Like, if you put a piece of paper in my hands and I'm not just talking, at the end of whatever random monologue I'm spewing out, the paper will be in shreds. Like, I don't know, man. I just do what I do. But anyway, so 2 games that I have in mind that would work really well with Switch Pro this year. Metroid Prime Trilogy HD. I think that game could look fantastic on Switch, especially if we do get some sort of 4K support. If there's 4K upscaling on this babe of a system, then like that would be gorgeous to see. Like, imagine, all those like mods or dolphin mods of like Metroid Prime, but it's in it's like 4K 60 frames per second. Metroid Prime Trilogy, and that would be fantastic. The only thing that would lead me to believe that wouldn't happen would be that if they do that for Metroid Prime Trilogy, I feel like that would set the standard for Metroid Prime 4. And I think expecting an upscaled Metroid Prime 4 running at 60 frames per second, upscaled to 4K, might be kind of a lofty goal. So even if the Switch Pro is way more powerful, so maybe not.
I don't necessarily think that does it. Just because a lot of other consoles have like remakes that are much like higher resolution or higher frame rates than the actual next game. For example, like just the first thing off the top of my head, Uncharted Collection, the Nathan Drake Collection, all ran at full 1080p 60 on the PS4. And then Uncharted 4 came out, and it ran at only 30 frames per second. I believe it was only 900p.
Okay,
so it ran less.
That's an interesting point, and I guess to counter my argument to piggyback on what you said, but if I remember correctly, Wind Waker HD was 1080p on Wii U.
It's a full 1080p, and Breath of the Wild's only 720p.
Right, on the Wii U. 900p on the Switch, but either way.
Right.
The
Both
remake
of them are less.
or remaster was a higher resolution. So maybe, there's something to your point, which also does help support my claim to Metroid Prime Trilogy HD being supported with Switch Pro, right? So that'd be amazing.
And they could have a Smash character and be like, oh, Smash in 4K, because that already runs at a max 1080p 60.
Right, and I'd imagine the Switch Pro has 4K upscaling. It's not even something they have to program for necessarily, or if they do, it's like a minor update, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong?
I believe you do have to program it, because like the Xbox One X versions of games didn't run at 1080p unless they got an update, or 4K, I mean, unless they got an update. They did the dynamic resolution, automatically higher, and frame rates were automatically more stable.
So games that don't have an update,
the same.
Okay, so games would naturally run and look better on the Switch even without any updates, but to really maximize that, there would have to be a little bit of an update.
Yeah, whatever the frame rate cap or resolution cap is on the original version, it would stay the same. It might max that out. So for example, like Wolfenstein has a cap of 720p. It doesn't hardly hit that on the original Switch, but it could, run at a full 720p all the time. But it would never go above the cap unless you had an update for that.
Okay, that makes sense. So I can see that. And the other game is obviously Breath of the Wild 2. Like, those two games, I think, would be, like, especially Breath of the Wild 2, actually, because Metroid Prime Trilogy HD, I do not expect it to be, like, a full-on remake. If it is, but no, there's no way. It's 3 long games. There's no way. And it's
Unless
Nintendo.
It's only the original Metroid Prime remake. But I think it'd be more likely that they do the trilogy.
I really doubt that. Cool, I would like that, but I really doubt that,
I would honestly prefer the trilogy because I haven't played 2 and 3.
There you go. So, and then Breath of the Wild 2, like, from that trailer, at first glance, you might think it may look similar to Breath of the Wild. I mean, it should, because it's a similar art style, but it actually is, like, leaps and bounds better. As you pointed out, like, at first when I saw it, I didn't really realize how much better it looks.
Check that out on my channel.
The link is in the description below. It looks a lot better, and that was a trailer back at E3 2019. Assuming the game comes out holiday time, that's a year and a half afterwards. The game may look even better than that. So and then Switch Pro, right? So this game could be a serious looker, and it may be something Nintendo's going to really push with their marketing to help say, hey, look, the Switch has some really cutting-edge games coming out this year. You should be excited about it. Get the Switch Pro, get the Switch Lite, get the Switch, get Pokemon and Zelda and Metroid and Mario, and be happy.
I'm sure that all the all the major third-party games on the Switch will get an update for it. I'm sure, like, Doom, Wolfenstein, The Witcher will all get updates for it. At the very least, just to up the resolution cap. Because that's easy. That's just going into the code and saying, I want this to be here. Obviously, there's a little testing to see what the Switch Pro can do so that, they don't just bump it straight up to, like, 4K and then it just runs like crap, But as far as, like, once you learn what the Switch Pro could handle, the actual changing of the data, like, in the code to make it run at a higher cap shouldn't be, like, really hard at all.
Yeah, so I want to switch into a common conversation we had, because I see Terry Siverson was referring to this earlier. Hello there, Mastermind. I see you there in the chat. Also, Hypnotic Twitch. How are you doing? But what I was getting at is the Switch Pro, if it does come out, and I feel like with this analyst, it kind of gives me more confidence on it, even though I was already predicting they would come out this year. Do you think it'll have exclusive games?
No. I was just talking with Ray Cabana on Twitter about this before the podcast. I think it would be ridiculous if Nintendo had exclusive games. I think with the precedent set by the PS4 Pro, and the Xbox One X, as well as the absolute failure that the new 3DS exclusives were, I just don't think that they
They
would do
stopped
that.
doing it. Like, they tried it out, and it didn't pan out really well, and they kind of stopped.
Everybody was against it. It
Yeah.
didn't really. The exclusive games just like they sold okay, but they weren't like success. People like really upset about it. I think if there be some major backlash if there were exclusive games, I think maybe at the very least they could be like, okay, third party, like it's up to you if you want to put it exclusive. We don't recommend it.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they might do that, but I don't think they're going to encourage it, and I don't think it's going to be like this major thing. I don't think, like, some people are like, oh, we need a Switch Pro so we can get some more third-party exclusives. I don't think Nintendo looks at that at all. I don't think that's their mindset at all. In fact, I think that's a bad mindset because it's just splitting your user base a lot, and it's just going to make people upset.
I agree. I don't think it's gonna be a good business move, and I feel like third parties would probably prefer to have their games available for all the Switches out there, not just a few million that are on the Switch Pro. Like, there's a whole bunch of money lost.
Mm-hmm.
I think the better situation is just, hey, we understand that if we get our game on Switch, if you have a basic Switch, it's not gonna run as well, but that's fine because if people really care about that, well, there will be a better option with the Switch Pro.
Yeah.
People will have that option.
The worst situation in my mind is that third parties optimize it for the Switch Pro and then make like a really crappy version for the original Switch, but it still at least is there. Some third parties have done that for the like Xbox One X and original base Xbox One, and same for like PS4 Pro and PS4, where they optimize it for those, and then the original versions don't really run that great and look that good.
Right.
So I could see that.
Well, in general, like,
scenario.
those versions shouldn't run as well because they're weaker.
No,
But
I mean that they don't.
It wouldn't be. Yeah, I know what you mean though. They just
well.
don't take the time to truly optimize it for that particular system, and that would be disappointing. I hope that doesn't happen, but it does seem like that could be a possibility if a Switch Pro does happen. I see that here Control Alt Dan was suggesting or asking, what if it's a mini direct? I personally don't think it's gonna be a mini direct because one, I expect Smash to be there. Not to mention, I think there's just a lot of information that's needed right now. I mean, I'll stick with Smash. Like, if you have Smash in a direct, is it mini anymore? I feel like once you have Smash in there, mini is no longer, no, I don't. Yeah, I doubt it. Yeah.
I think there's too much information that we need for them to do a mini direct.
Yeah.
Unless they just like have another direct already planned for like April or something. No, I don't think so.
Another random question or point. I actually see Sonic Rider brought it up. He was talking about the 2010s. Like, we are technically in a new decade. So how do you feel about the new decade, Brandon?
I don't know. It's gonna be great, guys. It's gonna be awesome.
We're gonna start off with Zelda and Metroid Prime and maybe Mario Odyssey 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition and maybe Pearl and Diamond remakes. Okay, like half of those things aren't confirmed yet, I know, but maybe, and that's really exciting. Oh, and if you're an Animal Crossing fan, you're getting Animal Crossing, so there's that.
And I'm a Sony and Xbox fan, so I'm getting 2 new next generation systems. That's pretty hype.
Fancy that. That.
And a possible Switch Pro. I don't think you mentioned that in your list.
No, it didn't. And there's plenty of other things.
Go.
It's gonna be hype.
I think this decade will be better for Nintendo than last decade, because last decade, at the beginning of the decade, was like towards the end of the Wii's lifespan.
Right. It was its worst years.
Yeah.
Well, 2010 wasn't bad, but 2011 was.
As far as games, like,
yeah,
barely any big games were coming out for the Wii. The 3DS did well. Not as good as the DS, but it still did great. It's what, 70, 80 million. Still fantastic. But the Wii U came and just really messed things up for the middle of that whole decade. And from 2017 to now, Nintendo's been crawling back, and now they're starting the decade off on a really, really high note. Like, this is suspected to be one of the biggest years for Nintendo. People are really expecting a lot. It's the 30-year anniversary of the Switch and Nintendo's great success. And I think this decade's just going to be a lot better for Nintendo than last decade, because I think we're starting off at a good foot instead of starting off on a bad one. And I think they have a lot of momentum and a lot of opportunities where they can grow. We're getting movies, we're getting theme parks. I think this is really a much better decade for Nintendo than last decade.
I'm inclined to agree. I think a lot of that will hinge on what Nintendo does after the Switch. But I think, honestly, their path to success right now is just to continue what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, just continue what you're doing. That's it. You have your own market right now. Like, you're not... Like, they are... Yes, Sony and Microsoft are competitors, but they are in a position where it's a little bit unique because the Switch focuses on being a hybrid. A lot of people treat it as a handheld. It is sometimes kind of like a secondary... Or I don't like necessarily referring to it as a secondary system, but one of two systems for a lot of people, right? So it does kind of fit into that sort of realm, which I think kind of really works really well for Nintendo, because now since they don't have to have two different systems releasing on their own, people can just save their money and just get one system and buy more games, and it fits really well like that. So I think Nintendo should maintain with that and just focus on doing that. They got their mobile games, which I don't care too much about, but I'll try them out when they come out, play it for a day, and then forget about it. But that still sells a lot, makes them a lot of money. So they got that. They got the movies. They got the parks coming. You're right. Like we're set up for success, and I think that this decade is going to be a lot better for a particular franchise than the previous decade. Do I know what that franchise is?
Metroid.
Oh, how did you know? How did you guess that? Are you a psychic?
I am.
You have telekinetic powers. Use the Force. Wrong sci-fi franchise, Brandon. What if
Similar vein.
Similar vein, though. So, Metroid Prime 3 Corruption came out in 2007. Metroid Prime Trilogy came out in 2009. There was no Metroid Prime at all in the last decade. That did not happen. No. There was a couple...
Other M, the best game ever.
There was Other M. What year did that come out in? 2010? I don't remember. When did Other M come out?
2011, 2010.
By the way, for those who want like confirmation of Nintendo's maintenance schedule, here it is. Right here. There you go. It's happening this week, guys. So, if the maintenance happening is this week, that could suggest it. There could be a direct really soon. But in terms of Other M, when did Other M come out? Like, I'm thinking 2010.
Know.
Yeah, it is 2010. August 31st, 2010. There you go.
God.
So what a way to start off that decade. Yeah, right? Other M started off the decade for Metroid. Big oof right there. I mean, I liked Other M, to be honest with you, but the story was... and I didn't like the Where's Waldo elements, but besides that, the gameplay was fun. It was a fun game, but it had flaws. So, but either way, not the best way to start off Metroid. When you compare Other M to Metroid Prime, there is a stark contrast in quality there. And then there is Federation Force, and then there was the Wii U, which was no Metroid, period.
Federation Force is not a terrible game. Just not a great one.
And then at the beginning
it's not what we wanted at all.
No, we did get Samus Returns, which was a nice little thing. Definitely, something. But besides Other M, Federation Force, and Samus Returns, that was it for Metroid in this last decade.
Oh, God.
Yeah. When you break it down like that, the best game for the Metroid series was Metroid Samus Returns, a remake for the 3DS when everyone was already focused on the Switch. Like, Yeah.
Some major oofs right there.
Indeed. But to top it off, at the beginning of 2019, the final year of the decade, what happened, Brandon? January 2019.
January 2019, Metroid Prime 4 officially restarted.
Yeah. That was a heartbreaking moment. Like, that was so bad.
Terrible.
So, point is, last decade was not at all kind to Metroid fans, or the Metroid series as a whole. But this time, it's different, baby. Metroid is coming back. It's going to be epic. We're going to get something this year for Metroid. I don't know if it's a 2D Metroid. Maybe two. Maybe we'll get a 2D Metroid remake. Like maybe Metroid Fusion remake or Metroid 5, a whole new Metroid game. Maybe Metroid Prime Trilogy will finally come out. Maybe we'll get a teaser trailer at E3. Maybe for Metroid Prime 4. Fingers crossed. And maybe Metroid Prime 4 actually come out holiday 2021. Now, the reason why my confidence in this is increasing, and yes, I know I could be setting myself up for disappointment, is because we continually hearing more and more about different hirings for Retro Studios and really building themselves up. We briefly talked about it last week. I had a video on it this week, so definitely check it out, guys. It already came out. It came out a few days ago. But the point is, there was a hiring at Retro Studios that was for an environmental review artist. They are outsourcing. That could be a really good thing. So that fills me with a lot of confidence. This guy has a good history with working on some pretty good games like the Killzone series, for example. So if I'm getting the right person, like there's that, and there's also this hiring I saw recently. Apparently, the lead designer Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is returning to Retro Studios.
I did hear about that.
Yeah, and that Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze is
an amazing,
to some people, the best platformer of all time. So
it's my favorite one.
It's a very strong platforming game. Definitely a quality talent right there. Returning to the Retro Studios is a big pickup. So definitely a lot. So there is promising things coming from Retro Studios as of late. So I definitely think, Retro Studios is in a good position to do well with Metroid Prime, and I honestly will not be surprised if Metroid Prime 4 does come out holiday 2021. It may be a 2022 game, that is possible. But considering the outsourcing and what may have happened before the restart, maybe some recycled assets, and considering that Kensuke Tanabe already had an idea of what they were doing with the game, because consider this, a big part of the development of the game is the storyboarding, the art design, things like that, the concepts and what they want to do with the game. A lot of that was already pretty much done because they worked on that with Kensuke Tanabe, the Prime Director. He's still the Prime Director even though they're switched over to Retro Studios. So a lot of that is going to come over into the current form of Metroid Prime, and that doesn't count any potential assets that may be recycled, which we don't know if they will. It may be a clean, like from scratch thing, but all the story stuff, things like that, could expedite things.
Assets, just because a lot of what I imagine it was more gameplay than graphical issues that made them restart the game. Like, I'm sure the graphics looked fine, and they can have a lot of assets they can reuse. Maybe not even in the same ways, assets can be broken down and used for tons of other things and look completely different, but you can still rip them from the original game, even if the environment and the level design is completely different. You can still rip those textures, rip the plants, or whatever you want. The enemies could be ripped, whatever they want to take from the original game as far as art assets and things like that, and use them in completely different ways, or improve upon them if they want to change them. But they don't have to start completely from scratch.
Yeah. So I see here, We Had Mia saying Retro Studios is currently searching for a environment outsourcing review artist, but this doesn't mean their complete environment design will be outsourced. They already hired Victor Von Heck as a lead environment artist in September 2019. So
no, I don't think everything would be outsourced. I think that'd be a little ridiculous.
No, definitely not everything. But just the point that they're bringing in this talent, this quality talent from different places, and that they are doing some outsourcing, at least, that does mean that they will hopefully get things done quicker. So, I mean, keep in mind that one of the reasons they switched over to Retro Studios supposedly was because they wanted it all under one house, supposedly. So, because that was some of the issues that was going on with the initial development, because apparently they had different parts being developed in different parts of the different countries. So, a lot of potential little issues there. So, definitely, outsourcing could potentially be bad depending on how it's done, but I feel good about this. I don't feel bad about it. So I feel pretty good about what Retro Studios is doing, and I'm looking forward to seeing something with Metroid later on this year.
Ooh, if he worked on Crisis, me is saying the
Yeah,
Victor worked on Crisis, Rise, Son of Rome, and Killzone 2, all extremely technologically competent games, like extremely ahead of their time as far as like the actual technologies of it. Especially like Crisis is known for being like ridiculously ahead of its time for the technologies and the graphics that it pulled off when it was released.
definitely the kind of pedigree that would be very welcomed with Metroid Prime, considering that it is a first-person game with shooting elements.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is something I look forward to seeing, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I'm ready whenever that happens. And oh yeah, I guess one more. Now we can kind of go a little bit into our predictions for January Direct, like specifically the January Direct predictions, I guess. I'm kind of hoping to see Smash, right? Obviously Animal Crossing and Tokyo Mirage Sessions, but also Pikmin 3 and maybe even Metroid Prime Trilogy.
I'm pulling out a Word document here.
Oh, you got a Word document now.
I'm gonna write down my predictions on it just to keep track of everything. All right, so we got. Let's see. How do I do? Oh, I'm done. There we go. I was trying to figure out how to do bullet points. I don't know how I forgot that. Okay, let's see. Smash Fighter 5. Bullet point 1. I'm just doing bullet points, alright.
Gotcha.
So you can continue what you're saying there.
Well, no. I'm that's it with my predictions, pretty much.
Right,
Metroid
so
Prime Trilogy. Okay, go.
Metroid Prime Trilogy. I'm just keeping everything in order so we can,
Oh no. Okay, yeah. My predictions are Metroid Prime Trilogy, HD, Pikmin 3, Smash, obviously Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and Animal Crossing. In terms of third-party stuff, I think Shin Megami Tensei, what is it, 5?
Yeah.
Like, I think that could possibly be shown off in the Direct. I'd like to see if Xenoblade is coming out this summertime. It wouldn't shock. I think we might see that in this Direct as well.
Okay. I think I predicted that I didn't think they would show it again this soon, because I didn't think there'd be any reason. But they might show it, just nothing really new, just kind of... well, they could show off a few new areas. Actually, there's a lot of areas we haven't seen in the remake, so... yeah, actually, I think that could happen. I would like to see a small... I don't think it'd be anything major, but I could see like a small, just like showing off a little bit more of the graphics of the world there.
Brandon Stallion added me. He said, "Hey Andres, imagine this. Right after you do tonight's podcast talking about the rumored January Direct, the first thing you wake up to tomorrow is an announcement of a Direct on the 8th. That's what I'm pulling for."
I would hope it's on the 9th. I have to work the 8th.
Well,
9th.
Whenever it happens.
9th.
Whenever it happens.
God. Either way, I'd be hyped to come home from work to some awesome announcements.
Yeah. Had also something else interesting to say. He said, "And then there is also Sasha Nodia, who also works for Retro as a lead environment artist. It seems like they have a lot of talented people there working at the same time." Yeah, I'm really confident about it. I keep continually am hearing about all the details. Now, I don't remember every specific detail about it, but they have been hiring a lot of people, as you've mentioned, and it's it sounds awesome. And it just sounds great. I really want to see what they're cooking up. I want to see what they can do. I'm just so curious about it. I really am. Like, you gotta think that they did something in the last half decade. I'd like to see what that was. It's possible that all of it was canceled, but I'm hoping that at least one game was actually made during that time, and it's going to come out maybe at some point this year. Maybe that's also revealed during the Nintendo Direct. I personally think it could potentially be some sort of Nintendo Land variant. I've talked about how that artwork that was revealed or that came out when Reggie retired, the character behind the Mario statue, to me looks like it pretty much has to be Monita. So we'll see if there's something to that. But I am really curious about what Retro Studios can do right now, because it's been a while since we've seen any games from them.
Okay. Now, so far on the list of predictions, we got Smash Fighter 5. We both think they possibly, I'm kind of 50-50 on this. Well, maybe a little bit more than 50-50 on them outlining kind of their plans for more Smash DLC. We both kind of think that's probably going to happen, right? So I got that as number 2.
Yeah.
Metroid Prime Trilogy HT. Pikmin 3. I think Wonderful 101 is also a good bet. Tokyo Mirage Sessions, obviously. Animal Crossing, almost certainly. Shin Megami Tensei 5. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and that's pretty much it. But we haven't really talked about third parties like, more... we've talked about more like Japan third parties. What about like more of like American, Western
Tomb Raider, maybe?
third-party games?
Maybe a Tomb Raider game could finally happen.
Okay. I could see Tomb Raider. People have been predicting that.
Yeah, did we ever get you know what game that I was really excited about but I didn't see too much on? Was it Panzer Dragoon? Am I getting the name wrong?
Oh yeah, did that ever actually release?
Did it? Apparently the initial release date was 2019. I don't remember it ever coming out.
I don't think it ever came out.
Yeah, what's going on with Panzer Dragoon? I'm looking it up here. Okay, so I'm pulling up the Nintendo.com listing. All it says is release date winter. So maybe that got pushed a little bit and it's still coming out like maybe February.
It never came out.
You know what? That could be a February game.
There you go.
And
we for sure gotta see that directly. Right?
Yeah. So there you go. Panzer, which I was really excited for this remake, man. It's such a cool series from the old Sega days. I think there was a couple of them on the Sega Saturn, and they were awesome. I never got to play them because I never owned a Sega Saturn, but I've seen a lot of gameplay for them. I've read about them, and I really want to give this game a try when it finally comes out.
You know, another game that we could see, we saw it in the Direct Mini back a few years ago, but we never saw 2 or 3. Do you know what game I'm referring to? Can you guess?
What? Never saw 2 or 3, and it was in a Direct?
Never saw 2 or 3. It was in a January Direct Mini, and you really like it. Come on, you can guess this.
Never saw 2 or 3. Oh, Dark Souls.
Dark Souls, yeah.
Yeah.
Dark Souls, we could see 2, maybe. Maybe 2 or... I don't know if we'd see 3 at the same time, but we could see Dark Souls 2, you think?
Oh. Yeah, maybe. Dark Souls is definitely a nice little... It will be a nice game to have there for sure. So Panzer Dragoon, maybe. Dark Souls 2, maybe. A Tomb Raider game, maybe. And that's definitely what I'm thinking. Besides, like...
So I definitely think we'll see some kind of third-party announcement, to that kind of caliber.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see... By the way, I don't think either of us are saying we'll see all of these.
Oh, no, all of them.
Tomb Raider, Dark Souls, and Panzer.
I am.
But, at least 1 or 2.
Panzer Dragoon, like, for sure is these. The other 2 are just kind of, like, possibilities.
I think we'll see... I don't think... We could see Tomb Raider and Dark Souls, but I think... there's a great possibility that we'd see one or the other instead of both. But I definitely think Panzer Dragoon needs to be talked about, unless they just don't have anything to say.
I mean, it's already announced. It's got to come up. Like, I'm not saying it's gonna get like a big feature, but like at least like like a release date confirmation, like that. I think should come, assuming the game isn't like delayed.
Right. Assuming they actually know the release date.
Right.
Because it was supposed to come out last year. They might not know. It might just get a trailer eventually being like, oh, here's the new, release date.
Yeah. But that's definitely one third-party game I'm kind of have my eyes on them, sort of waiting to see more about. Besides that...
Do you think we could get like a Mario sports game or something?
No.
Some kind of like little...
Well, no, yeah, like,
Nintendo
yeah, I do, but
thing.
like... I first for a moment thought you were talking about the Olympics, because that just came out, Mario and Sonic at the Olympics. Like Mario Strikers or Mario Baseball, yes, but I don't expect that in a January Nintendo Direct. I would expect to see that maybe in a spring Nintendo Direct.
Okay. Because we don't really have any. The only new Nintendo announcement that we have on this list, as far as games, is Pikmin 3. So we don't actually, and Metroid Prime Trilogy.
Yeah,
HD,
Prime
so
Trilogy would be new.
Okay, so that'd be new enough, I guess. I'm thinking there'd be like maybe one other.
The Smash DLC is
new
technically new Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, but it's not a new.
You see, you just mean like a new game. Well, maybe the Retro Studios game.
True, Unity. Yeah.
Because if it is Nintendo Land too, right? I don't think that's the kind of game for like the holidays. So I think it would be something that should be revealed sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
It could be.
That could be a good game to announce in January.
It could also happen in a spring direct, though. You know, it could happen at E3 too, and it could still come out like August or September as well. So like, those are all possibilities. But I definitely would say, hey, there's like maybe like a 33% chance if I'm right about the Nintendo Land thing that it is announced in a January direct.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that.
Oh, apparently Terry is saying that Shantae and the Seven Sirens is supposed to come out this spring, so they might mention that.
That could be mentioned. It's an indie, technically an indie game, so there's, you know, it won't take that much spotlight, but is that. Besides that, like I'm not gonna predict like ports like. Okay, one thing that can maybe happen. Persona 5 the Royal.
Getting Persona 5 on Switch would be great, even if any version of it. Because all we have right now is the spin-off game.
Mm-hmm. Because we got the release trailer for the Royal on Sony. You know.
Question mark.
Stop playing. I told you not to play. I'm looking at the trailer. Yeah, that's March. So we might have to wait till after it comes out for PlayStation 4 to get it on Switch. But I feel like it could come. It might not be announced until afterwards though. What?
I could totally see them just giving us the original version, like right before.
Maybe. Yeah, I could maybe see. We've seen some things like that in the past, right? Yeah. So maybe that. I'm not really expecting Resident Evil 2 at this point anymore. No. No. I don't expect like Sekiro or anything like that. I think pretty much most big third-party games, right? I don't really expect them. We still haven't heard about. You know what we haven't heard about? We haven't heard about Doom 2019.
Right. It's Doom. It has a name. Doom Eternal.
Doom Eternal.
Yeah, because we know that all the other versions are coming out in March, the same day as Animal Crossing, but not the Switch version, I believe.
Right.
So that, they might come out with that at the same time as the Switch Pro.
Ooh, maybe that's why it was delayed.
Game.
What if that's?
I don't think that's why it's delayed.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It makes sense. You know it. I'm just kidding.
I really don't think they would.
But it could be a convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that.
I could see them being like, oh, it's coming. It might be ready a few weeks before the Switch Pro, but we're gonna hold it off. A few more weeks.
Yeah, we could also get updates on not Dark Souls. No More Heroes 3, and potentially Bravely Default 2. I'm gonna say we won't see much on Bravely Default 2, but I feel pretty good about maybe seeing something about No More Heroes 3 in a January direct. If not,
I don't
think
direct.
We'll
see Bravely Default.
Yeah. Besides that, like, what else is there?
I think we're set up for a pretty decent direct here. We got Smash Fighter 5, we got Smash DLC, the second wave DLC outlined, Metroid Prime Trilogy HD, Pikmin 3, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Animal Crossing, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Xenoblade, Wonderful 101, Tomb Raider, Panzer Dragoon, Dark Souls 2, possibly Retro Studios game, Shantae getting a mention, Persona 5 something, perhaps, No More Heroes 3, and really unlikely Bravely Default. So
you mentioned Doom already?
Good. I don't think Doom would get talked about here.
Okay.
Do you want that on the list?
I mean,
don't
like,
think it's
I also
likely
don't
at
think
all.
all those things we mentioned are going to be at the Direct either.
Not all of them.
Yeah, but
I
definitely
think,
some of them. Yeah.
I think most of these are pretty good. You know, some of them are kind of, Pikmin 3 and Wonderful 101. We might get one or the other. Tomb Raider and Dark Souls 2. We might
I
get
think
one
we
or
should
the
put
other.
down as a possibility Zelda 2020 confirmation.
Okay.
Like, is it like, am I like, oh, I'm predicting it for sure? No, I don't expect it, but I do think it's a possibility, right? Like, it could be a way to end off the Direct. You know?
It could.
They could end the Direct in several ways. I'm gonna bet
They could
start
end
off
it off with Dark Souls 2.
No,
Honestly.
no,
Or
they will
just
not.
Smash
They will
DLC.
not do that. They will not do that because this is not a Direct Mini. This is a whole new Direct. They're gonna end it with a Nintendo game. The surprise of Dark Souls being on Switch is no longer a big surprise enough to the point where Dark Souls should get like its own little thing at the end to end the Direct. I'd love to see Dark Souls 2, don't get me wrong. If it's mentioned at the Direct, I'll be happy, but it will not be the final game of a major January Nintendo Direct to start off the entire decade. No.
Okay.
It's going to be something else. I think Smash probably more likely will start off the Direct. That'll be an early Direct thing.
Yeah.
I think to end, it's going to be something cool.
That's true.
Cool might just be a big Animal Crossing trailer for people. Even though for me, Animal Crossing wouldn't be that hype. For a lot of people, it would be.
I don't think they'd end it with Animal Crossing.
Well,
I think
they've done it
Be an
before.
Animal Crossing well, I don't think so because I think there would be an Animal Crossing Direct.
Okay.
So I don't think they'd have this like big. I don't think it'd be a big enough trailer to end off the Direct.
I think
Where
the
they
two
already have a
things.
Direct.
I think the two things, in my opinion, I agree that it makes more sense to maybe not have it be the thing to end it off. But also, Nintendo's not just trying to appeal to me, which is why I even bring it up as a possibility, right? Because if it was just me, it'd be F-Zero, Metroid, and Zelda every year.
I just don't think it makes sense as even from Nintendo's point of view to end it off with a big Animal Crossing thing if they're going to have a Direct.
My two things is 2020 Zelda teaser, or Prime Trilogy, or something that I can't that just isn't I haven't come up with. Like maybe Bayonetta 3, like everything
cool.
that we're bringing up right now, like it's not all of that. Like it's some of what we're talking about.
We're saying like one, like one or the other.
Right.
A lot of our predictions are some of them are interchangeable.
Yeah, Cheeseman just brought up WarioWare. Like, WarioWare is something that could come up at some point in the Direct as well. We haven't gotten WarioWare on the Switch yet, so I would definitely be okay with that. So, a Bayonetta 3 trailer would definitely be one way to end it off. Prime Trilogy would be another way. Zelda 2020 confirmation would be another. Mario Odyssey trailer would be insane. Insane.
Yeah, that'd be... That's less likely than a 2020 confirmation for Zelda.
Is it, though?
Yes.
Lies.
I think so.
Lies.
I think that'd be a great E3 surprise. Or Spring Direct if there is one.
Dude.
I don't see it as a Spring Direct. I don't see it as a January Direct type of announcement.
Oh my god, though. If they did, people would be, like, freaking out. And people would be saying, oh, well, we're going to get...
it's just too much.
I guarantee you that if they did have a Mario Odyssey 2 trailer to end off the Direct, people are going to say, oh, Zelda's not coming out this year, and it's just Mario. And I'm going to be one of those schmucks that's going to be like, no, we're getting both.
Mm-hmm.
And we won't know until E3.
I don't think a Mario Odyssey announcement would change my mind about Zelda at all.
Not your mind, but it would change some people's minds.
Some people. I just don't think...
Well, there's also a lot of people that just don't think Zelda's going to come out this year regardless, right? Because Zelda has a history of being delayed all the time. So there's that to consider. So there's that. Besides that, you got anything else? Bro, okay, so this is just me dreaming. A 3D Donkey Kong announcement.
Oh my god.
Oh! Like, here's a cool thing. So what if the Retro Studios game isn't Nintendo Land? It's Donkey Kong 3D World.
Donkey Kong 3D World.
Or Donkey Kong and Pauline. Pauline gets stranded on an island, and it's Donkey Kong Island, and she becomes the new damsel in distress in the Donkey Kong series. And it's kind of like a Tarzan and Jane kind of thing, except it's Donkey Kong and Pauline. Even
Be interesting considering
the
Donkey
history
Kong.
of King Kong and the woman
Yeah.
and Pauline getting taken by Donkey Kong and from the original Donkey
Yeah.
Kong. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
Cranky Kong's just like, what the fuck?
I remember you. I stole you once. Yeah. That'd be really fun. And people would be like, why is Pauline is Pauline the love interest in Donkey Kong? People like,
Oh,
Nintendo will never,
God. No.
no, it'd be weird, but I mean, like, if that, what I'm saying is happening, people are going to bring up that question. And obviously it'll be just Donkey Kong just being playful, family-friendly Donkey Kong. But, it'll be fun, dude. It'll be so cool. And obviously, I'm just throwing out ideas here. There's not really like any logical. Well, I'm not saying it's illogical, but there's no like. It's not rooted with a lot of evidence. It's just something I want. I doubt F-Zero will be shown. Will be at the Direct. I doubt Wave Race will be at the Direct. I doubt Mother 3 will be at the Direct.
Oh God.
Man, I'm curious what we're actually gonna get. I'm really curious.
Honestly, like I think the list we've come up with possibilities would fill out a whole Direct pretty easy.
Oh, for sure, for sure, absolutely.
I think if that if this list, you know, give or take a few games, was actually like the real like Direct, like I'd be happy with that. That'd be good Direct.
So this year we're gonna get Zelda and Mario. Next year we're gonna get 3D Donkey Kong, and Metroid Prime 4.
There you go. There you go.
And Star Fox.
Oh, Star Fox.
And Earthbound 64 3 HD.
Oh my God.
And Kid Icarus. And no, it's gonna be called Man Icarus.
Man Icarus.
Man Icarus. I'm just dreaming here. No, like most of that probably won't happen for a long time, especially Man Icarus. But I think we've pretty much reached like the natural conclusion for this Direct. We're gonna it may be announced this week, if not next week for sure. But we're coming up soon. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot more like little rumors to talk about throughout the week. But that's pretty much it. Is there anything else you want to sort of add, Brandon?
No, I think we covered everything. I'm pretty hyped for a Direct. Oh, something I wanted to mention just as a funny thing.
Sure.
Is I saw somebody on Twitter who, I forget who it was, they were like, we've been waiting so long, it's been September since we've had anything. This is obviously going to be the biggest Direct in Nintendo history. I'm like, it's always like every year we've been waiting since September, and we're always like, man, it's January.
Isn't it funny how just the cycle repeats itself every time?
Yeah. It's like it happens every year.
Everyone's like, man, it's been so long since we got news. This Direct has to be the big bombshell of bombshells.
Yeah. It's like, no, this happens every year, my friend. I just thought that was pretty funny. I just laughed at myself and chuckled to myself when I saw that. I was like, you're setting yourself up for disappointment, my friend.
Yeah, so let's keep our expectations in check. Obviously, we're probably not going to get Mother 3. But we'll definitely get Donkey Kong 64 3D, Super Mario Odyssey 2, Breath of the Wild 2, Metroid Prime Trilogy HD, Kingdom Hearts 3, Resident Evil 2 Remake, the Switch Pro, and Rob Peripheral at the Direct.
Yeah.
Right? Like, all of that's for sure coming. Mother 3 is like only a 50-50. Obviously. Okay. Just a disclaimer. I'm joking. Okay? I'm joking. That last part was definitely a joke. So, we'll see what happens. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. Make sure to check out Brandon's channel. The link to his channel is linked in the description below. Check out my Metroid video. Other things are coming. I've been looking up some Minish Cap stuff lately, so stay tuned for that. There's a video about that coming out soon. And, yeah, like the video, share it with your friends that like talking about Nintendo. And we'll see you soon. Have a good one, guys.
Bye, guys.